Hello, my friends. This is Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California for the Andy Falco Show. We are going to be talking about how parents really, more than ever, we've been talking about it for years, but we really need to control our schools, not take back control. We just need to simply now control our schools. We need to get them out of the hands of the cabal of teachers unions, which are the National Educators Association, the NEA, the CTA, which is the California Teachers Association, and then in our local area, it's the Association of Placentia Linda Educators, which they are also known by the name of APPLE. All of these teachers unions are one big cabal. You have the national, the statewide, and then the locals. Every school district has a local teachers union, which is, for the most part, a part of the CTA, the California Teachers Association here in California. And then, of course, then they are attached to the national one. They all pull their money together. They all partner with Planned Parenthood, which you need to know. Isn't it interesting that an organization that is solely for the purposes of killing babies, aborting babies, is the biggest supporter of teachers unions? And teachers who claim to love children are getting are supporting Planned Parenthood. Very, very strange. You got all these teachers that are paying for their dues, and they can opt out. They don't have to, but presumably there's Christian teachers who are paying dues that are being pulled together with Planned Parenthood and these, again, this cabal of teachers unions and teachers associations. It really is kind of crazy. With the cabal of these teachers unions being involved in the curriculum, in the legislation that is involved in the California Board of Education, and in many cases, the county, some of the county people that are involved in the school boards and education for the particular, like Orange County, LA County, that kind of thing, have found a way to simply destroy education. And we could talk about Baltimore, we could talk about Chicago, we can talk about all these other states, Baltimore being one where the most money is spent on education, and yet I believe the last time I heard, 0 of the students are meeting the minimum standards that graduate. There could be a small percentage, but I believe it's 0 or a very small percentage. And so it's not about money. The money is going in to destroy children educationally and physiologically and psychologically. And parents are allowing it to happen. So again, the title of this particular episode is Parental Control of Schools. We need to have parental control of schools, not teachers union control of schools. Parental control of schools. Here in California, it's one of the recent postings that I saw from the California Department of Education. This is from the California Department of Education. Only 40% of the children in public schools here in California are achieving minimum standards for English, and even worse for math, 33%. Only 33% of the students are achieving the minimum standards. Now, I tell my children, I said, if you can't graduate, if you can't pass these classes, then something is horribly wrong. I went horribly wrong because it's moron school. Any moron could pass or reach the minimum standards of what these schools are asking of their students, and especially in the state of California, you should be on the honor roll. Something's happening. So they're getting A's and that kind of stuff. There's it's in the blood, it's in the DNA that math is not a strength for my kids. So even a moron school, they're struggling just a little bit of math. They're getting C's and B's, but they should be getting A's. I tell them all the time. And so we're working on that. And so we're going to be doing more to help them with that. So what I'm going to be talking about today is my comment at the last school board meeting. I'm going to be reading from my comment, which will kind of help you understand why it is parental control of schools is necessary. Not, again, I'm going to repeat this because people join at different times. But no longer do we want teachers union control of schools, because that's essentially what's happening. This is why we're doing so poorly, because none of what they are proposing or legislating as far as the teachers unions are concerned has to do with education. All has to do with indoctrination and the sexualization of our kids. They're solely focused on these things. Again, I'm just going to repeat a couple other things here really quick. This is a website that the CTA created. If you scan the code there on the right, not the one that has this little triangle in it, upside down triangle, but that'll lead you to an order form for these badges. This badge leads you, that QR code on the badge leads the children to a website that has been created by the California Teachers Association, the CTA, that sexually indoctrinates them to be confused about their sex, about sex overall. They talk about anal and oral sex, and this is for children. This is not a website for adults. This website that this link sends you to, the one with a triangle on it, and here's actually what the badge looks like. If you want to scan using your phone, if you're watching on a computer or an iPad, scan that code, that QR code. It should work. That'll lead you to the website. Again, actually, I think I said CTA. This is the NEA, but also the CTA has a hand in putting together this website that the teachers are supposed to wear. This is according to the National Educators Association. They're to wear these badges. The LGBTQ caucus, proudly supported by the NEA. And the CTA. It doesn't say it on this badge, but it is. When you get to the website, you'll see that the CTA has a large part of creating this website. But hopefully you've had enough time to scan that code, and that'll lead you to things like maybe this book that's available on Amazon right now, which is In My Daddy's Belly, the story of a transgender dad giving birth. Really? That's a children's book, and they're promoting it towards children. All this is, and more, is promoted by the teachers' unions and associations. So I remind you of the title of this particular episode, which is Parental Control of Schools. We need to get it out of the hands of the unions and in the hands of the parents, as we have here in the PYLUSD. So just so I can keep this particular episode somewhat short, on Tuesday, we had our school board for the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, which I know is a local school district, but wherever you're watching this, whatever state you're watching this in, whatever county you're watching this in the state of California, if you're watching this, is that you understand that every one of you parents that care about the health and safety and welfare of your children need to be actively involved to gain back your schools and for parental control of these schools. And so I was speaking on Tuesday. I had been given a letter from a trusted community member who received this letter that was written by a teacher in middle school. And the teacher's name in the middle school, it's Kramer Middle School here in Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. Kramer Middle School PE teacher by the name of Carla Jones. So Carla Jones writes this letter. I got to cover up the name of the child that's on here. Hold on. Just in case somebody. So this letter was written by, now you can't see it because of the glare, but this letter was written by the teacher to a child in middle school. So either a 7th or 8th grader in middle school. All right, I'm going to read this to you so you understand, because what they tried to tell us when we were approving the parental rights, and it passed because we have a majority, a parent majority on the school board. We got out 3 of the the nitwits, the liberal nitwits that are on the board. We have 2 left that we have to get rid of that are just completely incompetent people. Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck are just simply incompetent, mindless, soulless people that could care less about children. They get up and they talk about, oh, we met the kids today. We went to the school, but they don't care because they vote against everything that's positive for the kids. So they get up there. Here's the funny thing. I'm going to go on a little bit of rant. They sit there and they talk about how they visit the schools and how great it is to be at the different events they go to and how happy they are to see these little things. But yet, when it comes to voting for things that are positive for the kids, to increase their education, get out of Common Core so that it's non-Common Core. So when we vote on those things, they of course oppose it. They want to continue the destruction of the children. When it comes to supporting the kids in the sports, they vote against it because they're for the kids? No, because they're against the kids. So just they got to stop the nonsense. They're lunatics. They truly are lunatics, and they continue to get up in their position there on the board and pretend that they care about the kids. It is truly ridiculous. So I forgot where I was going in that. It drives me crazy. I got this letter. And I see where I was going. The parental rights. So of course, those 2, Carrie and Marilyn, they voted against parental rights. They don't think parents should have the rights to care about what goes on with their kids. They don't need to know that their kids have mental health issues, that they told a teacher that they want to commit suicide. They believe, Carrie believe that the janitor knows better about the children. The bus driver, the teacher, the PE teacher knows better about my kids than I do. That's what Carrie and Marilyn believe. They believe that these people, and some of them probably don't even have any kids, have never had kids, yet they're here they are in the school making decisions for our kids. They believe that those people know more and know better for those kids than we do, and voted against parental rights. They also say, I don't know if it was one of them that said it or somebody else that got up on the dais and said it on at the podium and said it, but they said this is not happening. There are no teachers, they claim, in PYLUSD who are keeping secrets from parents, they claim. And so this letter says differently. This letter that I'm going to read to you is, again, a teacher, a PE teacher, who wrote handwritten note to a student, and the parent of the student found it in their bedroom and turned it over, and then I received a copy of it. Let me see who's watching right now. Hey, Lisa Wood, nice to see you. Lisa says, thank you, Andy, for all your fighting for our children's safety and future. Thank you, Lisa, for your comment. If you're watching and you want to comment, that would be fantastic. It would help push it out for other people to see it. So I'm going to read. I could play my video, but it's better, I think, if I just read this, because I'm going to stop and talk about the different things that I wrote. We only have 3 minutes. So I have to get in some important points, I believe, in this period of time that I have to read a comment, or sometimes I don't bring a prepared note. I just speak off the cuff. But on this day, I wanted to have it prepared because I wanted to be able to read the letter. And so I want to read this to you. I'm going to read it fully through, and then I'll come back and tell you why I wrote it in the way that I did. Understand, I'm not when I've written several books, but I have editors that rewrite my books so that they sound good. Just know that I'm not necessarily a writer, but I have written 7 #1 best-selling books. But these, I don't have anybody necessarily edit them for me. So there may be some grammatical things that you may go, man, that word doesn't belong there. All right. So this is what I read to the school board and to the audience and the superintendent on Tuesday night. And it starts, over the last several years, parents have been proven correct about every important issue we have fought against. These include masking, vaccine mandates, school closures, CRT, and pornography in our schools. We have even presented the board with proof that teachers, librarians, and principals were actively encouraging the sexualization of our children in all of the district schools. We gave photographic proof that Principal Joey Davis at El Dorado High School allows boys to use girls' bathrooms, drag queen shows at homecoming, and he is currently allowing a culture of debauchery at El Dorado High School. None of these things did we bring to you because we were making stuff up, nor were they conspiracy theories. Recently, we were told that no teacher or staff member is keeping critical information regarding a child from parents. Allow me to read a handwritten letter a parent found in their child's bedroom. This letter was given to the child by a Kramer Middle School PE teacher by the name of Carla Jones. The letter says, "Thank you for sharing your journey with me. I am a trustworthy adult. I would never share this information with anyone," she writes. "It is okay to wear your chest binders as much as you feel comfortable. Who are you talking to for support? There are quite a few students at Kramer that are on the same journey. Have you gone to Mr. Castro's Safe Space for Pride? I highly recommend it." Here's a really important point, because our parent rights specifically has to do with mental health issues. So in this letter, she writes, "I am terrified by your statement. Quote, it's getting harder and harder to have motivation to keep on living. Close quote. You are important and loved, even if you don't feel it right now. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Sincerely, Mrs. Jones." And just to make sure you all know, pointing to the school board and the district superintendent, the parent was not notified that this student had suicidal ideations. Mrs. Carla Jones kept this a secret, and presumably so did the ASB director, Ricky Castro. Remember, he's the one who has the Pride event or whatever that was. Now I'm speaking to the board. Dr. Chernice is the superintendent. I said, "Dr. Chernice, Mrs. Blades, Mr. Youngblood, and Mr. Frazier, they are the conservatives that are on the board. They're the parents that are actually on the board who care about our children. We all appreciate, and that's the parents that have been supporting them and got them elected. We all appreciate the hard work you are doing to fix what past board members and superintendents have done to destroy our children's future here at PYLUSD. But we beg you to please address this cancerous culture of hiding mental health emergencies from parents and the sexualization of our children. It must be eradicated in all its forms as quickly as possible." All right, so that's a letter I wrote and then read to them on that particular night. And I know that there's a little bit, it appears possibly that there's some jumping around, but I wanted to do this show to tell you why I wrote it the way that I did. And the beginning part about over the last several years, parents have been proven correct about every important issue we have fought against. These include masking, vaccine mandates, school closures, CRT, and pornography in our schools. I wanted to make sure and let them know that, especially Dr. Chernice, who is brand new and doing an amazing job. He's really doing his best to work as quickly as possible, straighten out some of the problems at our schools, that we have been at this for years. There's also some new assistant superintendents that are now on in the district. And I wanted them to know that we have been working on this for years. And then we were right. We were right about masks do nothing but destroy children. They did nothing to stop the virus. They did nothing to stop the spread. The closures of the schools did nothing to help mitigate COVID-19. We all know that. All the studies have proven us right on that. We were right about CRT being taught. We brought proof that it was being promoted and taught by certain teachers. It wasn't necessarily in a curriculum that we could pick up and read, but we had students that came and said, "Yep, we have this happening. This teacher says that all white people are racist and that cops are killing black men at a rate of about 1,000 black men a day." Yes, that was one of the teachers at El Dorado that was telling the students this. One of the students, his dad is an LAPD a police officer, and was upset, wouldn't talk to his dad anymore because he thought that his dad was killing 1,000 black men a day. And then we had the pornography in the schools. We had, of course, parents bring the books that were found in the library that were pornographic and read those aloud. So my purpose for having that was to lay the foundation that we're not stupid people. We have doctors, we have attorneys, we have CPAs, we have teachers that teach within the school district and teach in other neighboring school districts. We have engineers, we have football coaches and that are college football coaches and coaches for other schools. So the parents that they're dealing with in this particular school district in particular, and probably others, are not stupid people. But yet they wanted to believe, these other nimwits, Marilyn and Carrie Buck, and the prior school board members and the prior superintendents wanted to believe that, you know what, you guys just don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the education in public school. You just don't know what you're talking about. None of this stuff, what you're saying is all conspiracy theory. What you're all saying is just lies. That's not happening, because we would have parents actually come in and say, those people on the right part of and literally we separate the room by people on the right, people on the left. The people on the right are crazy. They're Trumpers. They're misogynistic. They're racist. And what they're saying is all made up. None of these things are happening in our school. And so the reason I started the way that I did is because I want to say, first, listen, so far we've been right about everything, which is true. Which is true. And now I want to bring you the issue in regard to parental rights and the fact that we know, and here's proof, here's evidence of a teacher telling a student, your secret is safe with me, wear the chest binders, I support you on that. And then there's other students just like you that we are hiding from parents. And there's another teacher on campus that you can go to for additional support. And I highly recommend that you go see him. And so this is what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that they understood that we are not crazy. We are not making this stuff up. These things are currently happening in our school. It is a cancer that is occurring at our school. The part about Joey Davis, who's a principal at El Dorado High School, he is a leader in a school, a high school in our district, and he has, and I've sent photographer, but we have photographs. I don't share them on here because they involve children that are in the school. And of course, I don't want to expose that. My kids still go to the school, so the worst thing I could do was, put the pictures up here and then cause my children problems at the school. But we've sent them to Joey Davis. We've sent the pictures to the school district. We've sent them to the school board members. They've all seen them. And I'm just reminding them that we have a principal who's being paid over $200,000 a year in salary and in benefits, who is allowing boys to be in the girls' restroom and to change and to go to the bathroom while girls are in there trying to do what they do in the bathroom. And the girls don't like it. We have girls that are not changing their tampons or they're holding their urine because they don't want to use the restrooms because there's boys in there. And Joey Davis knows this, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care about taking care of the kid. He goes, well, the state law said, no, the state law, the penal code says you are to protect children. I don't care what the education code is. The education code is flawed. The fact that you are such a pussy that you are protecting a fraction of the whatever it is, these students that are problematic or are dealing with something that needs some serious attention, that you are putting many girls in danger because of two people possibly in our school, and not telling them, hey, you use the private restrooms inside the office. You use the single-use restrooms. I'm not going to force all the other girls to be subject to you, who appear to be confused about who you are, to be in the bathroom as a boy when they're trying to do what it is that they need to do in the restroom. He doesn't do that. He's too much of a wuss that he goes, nah, you know what? We're going to side with the education code and not the penal code, because that's who he is. He also allowed he was there when the drag queen got up and began to twerk and dance. And he sent me an email saying he allowed it because the students were hooting and hollering. The students, again, and I said to him in a response email, I said, you mean to tell me that you don't know enough as a principal of the school that if you had somebody up there that gets naked, that the students aren't going to hoot and holler? You don't know that if somebody gets up there and smokes a blunt on stage in front of everybody, that you're going to have students hoot and holler? So your criteria as to whether something should be allowed or not is based on the reaction of the children that you're supposed to be protecting? You dimwit? He doesn't care. So I just wanted to make sure now in the second part is that we have proof that I've sent to them and they've seen it. I want to remind them that we have a principal who also could care less about the safety of children at one of our schools in the district. And this is happening, again, not just at El Dorado, not just at Kramer Middle School. It's happening at all of the schools still on a lower level. Is it probably as bad as a school in LA or Chicago or Baltimore or Portland or Seattle? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that we want it to happen or we want to allow it to happen, allow it to continue. This is a cancer. It is a cancer that can either be a skin cancer or I'm sorry to use this reference, but a colon cancer or a leukemia. It doesn't matter. It's all cancer and it's all deadly. And we need to stop it, whether it's a tiny little bit of skin cancer, because we know all of us know somebody who eventually died of skin cancer. And we know people that have died of a greater cancer. It doesn't matter. It's all cancer and needs to be eradicated out of our schools. So I go on, and of course, I read the letter. And then at the end, I wanted to make sure and let everybody know that after I read the letter, is that the parents in this particular case, because I've been in contact with the person who knows this family, and confirmed that the parents were never notified by Mrs. Carla Jones at Kramer Middle School or Ricky Castro, the ASB director at Kramer Middle School. Neither one of them contacted the family of this particular child and said, you know what, we're concerned about your child. They have talked about committing suicide, and we think it's important. No, they did not do that. They allowed this child to be in danger of them from themselves and did nothing about it. Not to mention the issue with the gender confusion, right? We know that that's also an issue. But again, if we were to look at the one thing that I think we can all agree on, is that when this kid told Mrs. Carla Jones, and again, I'm assuming Ricky Castro also knew this, that the child did not want to live any longer, that they did not think it was necessary to let the parents know. No. They told them, we will hide that from your parents. We won't let them know. But did they 5150 her on their own? Because they could have. Did they call the police and say, you know what, we're concerned about this? No, they didn't call the police. Did they let anybody else know that they thought could? No, none of that happened. None of that happened in this particular school. So it's really important, I think, after reading the letter, to make sure that we highlight that during this talk and thing. And then the very last paragraph is that I want to make sure and acknowledge that we have a great core of people on the school board and the superintendent's offices that are currently doing a good job. We've had past nonsense. So Dr. Chernis and Mrs. Blades and Mr. Youngblood and Mr. Frazier, all amazing people. And there's a number of other superintendents that it would have taken me past my 3 minutes to name all the new superintendents. So I apologize if you're watching this and I didn't name you. You are doing a great job too, but we appreciate the hard work that they're doing to fix the problem that the past board members and superintendents have done to destroy our children. And I want them to know that it was important to me to not destroy them and to make them feel like they're a part of this, because all this happened before they got there. Although, we have the school board mostly in place, but this is happening without their knowledge, but now they know. And then again, to bring back the cancer reference, I just want to talk about that for 1 second, is that if we will not fix, no matter how much Dr. Chernis and the school board and the other superintendents do to bring back actual education and non-common core math and reading and good quality teaching practices, that if the cancer continues to grow and to even maybe just stay stagnant, that at some point it will come back out again. That we all know this, right? We know that a cancer, although it can go into remission, it can come back to kill you if you don't get it all, if you leave it in place. And so I just I wanted to use that reference of a cancer for them to understand that no matter how hard they work to bring solid education back into our school, which has been missing, obviously, you saw the numbers on how many kids are not able to meet a minimum standard in our state, that it will not matter, because that cancer will continue to eat at the educational process at all these schools, because it becomes a distraction. It becomes something that the kids are far more focused on than actual education. I talked about this before in an email I sent directly to Dr. Chernus. I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but it had to do with culture. I'm currently, I can't seem to get this book completely written, but it has to do with culture. It has to really do with culture in a police department. That is the problem from police department to police department. Some police departments have a culture of criminality. Some departments have a culture of excellence, and then you have all the different cultures in the middle. Like some have a culture of mediocrity. Well, let's just get by. Let's just not get arrested for doing the wrong thing. So you have all these different cultures, and I wanted to talk to him about these cultures within each one of the schools. You have Principal Joey Davis, who apparently has a desire to just have a culture of less than mediocrity, a culture of debauchery, as I said in my speech, because he allows for all these things to continue to happen. I talked about the dress code that just does not seem to be practiced in the El Dorado school. Enforced, that's the word I was looking for. It's not enforced at El Dorado school. And he sends me back another email that says, look, we have 27 violations this year. We're a little close. I think we're pretty close to being halfway through the school year. And you're telling me that 27 violations is a way that you tell me that you're enforcing the dress code? There's 27 violations a day. When you go to school, I would invite anybody to come with me to the school at pickup or drop off or pickup. And just as we're waiting for our kids, and just a few kids that come across, the parking lot where I stop to pick up my kids, you could count at least, if not more than 27 violations of the dress code just there in the parking lot. And this is where this culture in some aspects is tackled right off the bat. If you set a standard, Joey Davis, Joey Jones, he's on the Fox News, Joey Davis, or any other principal that might be watching this, or any other teacher that watches this, it's kind of like your house with your kids. You have to have a certain standard that you accept, and then you want your kids to exceed the standard, right? You want them to be better than that standard. If you start off the day with, you know what, we're just going to ignore all the belly shirts and the strapless shirts and the booty shorts. It's kids these days, it's the Instagram and the TikTok, and they're seeing that. And that's where you start your day, Joey Davis and everybody else who's watching this, because I know they watch it, because I hear, is that you have nowhere to go. You only have debauchery, because then you've set your bar so low for yourself that your culture is started there, and then it cannot get any better, because then the teachers see, well, Joey Davis doesn't care about the dress code, so I guess we don't care about the dress code. And then what happens over a period of time? It just gets worse and worse and worse, and then finally, when somebody comes in naked, then you enforce it, and then that's one of your ticks that you put down, and that gives you the 27 over the half of the school year. There's, I don't know what it is, 2,000 kids that go to El Dorado. I don't know how many go to El Dorado. I should. Maybe I'll look that up, but they say 1,500. Half of those being girls or more. And again, I challenge. I'm part of a parents group, and we all talk, and I shared with them his email, and they all laughed. They said, "Are you kidding me? 27 this year?" There was 27 the first hour of the school day today. I'm telling you. And so this is where that culture comes up into play. This is just one example that if you don't enforce it, if you look at it and turn the other way and ignore it, your culture is lost. You start at a level of debauchery, and you have nowhere to go. You can't get above that, because everybody's saying, he doesn't care. He obviously doesn't care. The last thing I want to say, it's time that we stop looking at the California Education Code as our standard for whether something should exist or not exist. And I brought this up before, but I'm going to do it again, because I think it's important that as parents, we need to start looking at the penal code for our remedy for the things that are happening at the school. Carla Jones and Ricky Castro can be, and Joey Davis can be charged with criminal codes for not taking care of our kids, for allowing the sexualization of kids, to allowing the pornography in the libraries and in the schoolroom, in the classrooms. That there are criminal codes that we need as parents to begin charging them with. And this comes through, if it's a felony, you just need to report it. And then the police department can investigate the felony without you placing them under private person's arrest. Or if it's a misdemeanor, you place them under private person's arrest and then cause a criminal complaint to criminal investigation to begin. And then they will seek either a criminal complaint or not. And just to give you a couple of the codes, I want to make sure and give these to you. And for instance, this one, the first one I want to give you, it's illegal for an adult to intentionally put a child in danger, like encouraging men and boys to use girls' bathrooms. That would be putting a child, a girl, intentionally in danger. You are allowing it. You know that it's happening. You've done nothing about it. And you tell them, well, that's just the way it is. You're intentionally putting children in danger. That California Penal Code that you would use to either have them placed under private person's arrest or contact the local police department and say, listen, I know that adult who's responsible for children at El Dorado School is allowing the intentional endangering of young girls at El Dorado High School, and that would be California Penal Code 273A. California Penal Code 273A is intentionally putting children in danger. The other one is it's illegal to show children sexually explicit content, which is happening in the schools. Again, parents have brought the books to school, and there's sexually explicit content in these books. We've tried to read them. We've had parents read them, and the school board at the time told them to stop and to not read it. It actually was the superintendent. I think it was Superintendent Matthews, who's now the superintendent of a school somewhere in the Riverside County area, I believe. And that is sexually explicit content. It is illegal to do that. That's California Penal Code sections 211.1 and 211.2. I'm sorry, did I say 2? 311.1 and 311.2. California Penal Code sections 311.1 and 311.2. And then the last one I have, just for right now, there's others, and I will look those up and make sure and make those available to you. It is illegal to discuss sexually explicit topics with children. Yeah. Penal Code section 647.6 or Penal Code section 311.4. That's Penal Code section 647.6 and Penal Code section 311.4. Just in case people are wondering, so, well, how do you know about this stuff? Why would you know about these things? Well, I was a sex crimes detective with Anaheim Police Department, and charged people with these very crimes, and some of them are doing prison time currently, or have or out on parole or probation. And so I have charged people personally with all of these sections. Not the same person necessarily with all these sections, but it's possible that I've done that. So that is something that I know of and have done and have no problem doing today, by the way. Lisa says that the stream has frozen a few times and she's had to restart. Sorry about that. The social media tyrants are not helpful in this area either when it comes to these types of topics. So that could be one reason. On my end, everything seems to be clear, and I've not seen, usually it'll tell me that there's a streaming problem. So hopefully not all of you have had the same problem. Maybe in the replay when you're watching this, that can maybe have been resolved. The other thing that may happen is that it may just may be where you're at and the other day at our home, we were having some problems with internet. And so those things happen from time to time. So I know you weren't complaining, Lisa. Just want to make sure I was right. Yeah, I'm making sure because I have a little gauge over here on the left-hand side. And because I'm home alone today and none of the other kids are using our internet, I have a very strong signal. So yeah. And so again, who knows what's happening out there with these particular broadcasts from time to time. So that's what's going on now. Again, I know this seems to many of you, this may be a local issue, but it's not. Of course, we see this happening all throughout the nation and in other countries. I'm hearing today that Spain is falling to the tyrants, and it looks very challenging for people who live in Spain. Of course, we see what's happening in Israel. We see what's happening in France and some other countries throughout the world that are falling to the socialist Marxist ideologies, which is essentially what this is. This has nothing to do with the health of children. It's not because these morons that we have in place in the state of California, our politicians in Sacramento. It's not that anybody in any of the teachers' unions care about children. They obviously don't. We know that. Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson care nothing about the children because they do nothing but vote against those things that are a benefit to our children. So we know that they don't care. This has to do with following a mandate by the teachers' unions to indoctrinate children in Marxism, socialism, and sexualization. And this is all they care about. Education is not on their agenda, and it hasn't been for the many years leading up to COVID. It's just COVID exposed it, and we all began to get involved. If you missed the live broadcast, just wait a few minutes. The replay will be up, and you can go to the same place where you're watching this and watch it from the beginning. But it really is time for parents to take control of the schools. They are currently in the control of the teachers' unions, a cabal of teachers' unions, and parents, you better get involved, and you better be strong, and you better know going in that there are some parents that are going to be against you. There are parents that are just as indoctrinated as children. We see it, right? We see it happening with the people that love Hamas and terrorism. We see people that on TikTok that are in love with Osama bin Laden and his letter to America, that they've decided that is now gospel as opposed to the actual gospel of Jesus Christ. So understand that you are going to be a target. Understand you're going to lose friends. But really, truly, it's time for parents to take control of the schools. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if that's the right thing to say. I hope that you got something out of it. Whether you are a parent or not, you need to be involved too, because the kids that are coming out of these schools are going to affect you. And so, again, whether you're a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, or you just simply are a human being that lives within the state of California or in the United States, if you care about your country, if you care about your state, you need to be involved. All right, my friends, that's it. Take care. God bless.